Well, we're back working on the Pilot again. Today we're going to be replacing the CV shaft on the passenger side on a 2007 Honda Pilot.
Seriously, I just had it.
First, you'll jack up the car and pull the passenger side tire. And the next thing we're going to do is take this castle nut and break it loose. If you look right here, it has a little indentation where it's marred and it's pushed into here, and it does that so that it can't back off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a punch, and we're actually going to punch that back out to ease removal of the castle nut. One of the things I like to do is just turn the rotor to make things a little bit easier on us whenever you're doing this portion, so that you can really get in there and then you're tapping down instead of over to the side. A couple taps. I went a little bit too far there. Not a huge deal. That can be tapped back down. It's gonna get pushed back in later anyhow. I did spray a little bit of penetrating oil in there just to ease taking that guy off. Next, I'm going to take just a regular punch and put it down into one of the fins of the rotor, and I'm doing this just to hold the rotor in place while I break this loose with a 36mm socket. You can also have someone push on the brakes on the inside, but I'm on my own down here for right now, so I'm just gonna break it loose by myself. Just like that. Now that I have it broken loose, I can take my impact gun to it and take it the rest of the way off. As you can see right along this guard, there's a ton of grease and stuff in there, and that's where this has failed. The band has come off, and if I grab this and shake it, maybe you'll be able to hear it or see it. So it's bad on the back side and through there. It's got way too much movement. I'm not 100% sure that the intermediary shaft if the bearing in there isn't bad, but I'll have to assess that once I get this guy out. The way I'm going to remove the shaft is I'm going to take these two bolts out of here and this bolt that holds the brake hose onto the strut assembly, and then I'm going to try to take the hub out of the strut assembly and then turn the wheel effectively to the right so that I can pull this out without having to pull the lower ball joints and the tie rod end apart. I'm going to give that a whirl and see if it works. I've had luck with that in the past. The only hiccups that you'll run into could be your wheel speed sensor and your brake line here, but I think we're going to be in good shape. You'll need a 24mm on this side and a 22 on this side, and you'll need a pretty decent sized breaker bar to break these guys loose. I already cracked that one loose a little earlier, so I'll be able to take that off with a gun, no problem. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom side. So I was able to get that loose with a 22 and a long breaker bar and a 24 on this side, and now that I have it loose, I'm going to try the gun here. Now using a 12mm, I'm just going to break this one loose. Removing this will give me a little bit more wiggle room whenever I remove the strut assembly from the hub assembly, and then I'll be able to move everything around, and this will just give me enough play in there to be able to remove the CV joint from the front side without disconnecting a ton of stuff. Now that I've turned the wheel the whole way to the right, I can remove the castle nut the rest of the way. And now I can use the same punch that I used to stop the rotor and just give this a little tap, 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 just like that, just to break it loose. And now I should be able to remove these two the rest of the way, separate the whole assembly, and then pull this the rest of the way out without removing the lower ball joint and the tie rod end. Now I'm just going to very gently give these guys a little bit of a love tap. You want to be careful when removing these guys because this will want to fall apart, so just make sure that your fingers are clear of everything whenever you go to do this the rest of the way. Now I'm going to use a pry bar to get down in here and just wiggle back and forth and separate the strut assembly from the hub assembly. As you can see, I've put the strut assembly to the left side and it's completely separated at this point. And now I can come down here with my punch again and I can punch the center of the CV shaft and push it out. Again, you want to be careful of where your hands are during this process. And just like that, we have disconnected it from the hub. Now, you'll want to hold on to the rotor whenever you're doing this so that you can come back and put your strut assembly back together temporarily, just so that this doesn't fall down and damage any of your boots or your ball joints or tie rod ends or whatever. So I'm just going to put this back together and I'm just going to throw a pin through it, or throw a punch through it rather, and go from there. Now that we have our pins back in through here, you might need to wiggle the steering wheel back and forth in order to get these pins in there. It's just a temporary thing until we get the new half shaft and get the old one out. But now that these pins are in there, securing that safely out of the way, we can focus our efforts over here and pull the CV shaft the rest of the way out. Here we are underneath of the car. This is right where the oil drain plug is, right here. And what we're gonna do is, you can see, this is the part that we need to come out, and there's a bolt right up on the upper side that mounts to the carrier bearing, and that's where we're going to want to put our pry bar in order to get a little bit of leverage and just pop this guy out. Oh, I can't wait till I have a lift. This is being a total pain in the ass. Taking our pry bar, coming up just on that side there, and I think that'll give me enough leverage to pop this guy out. It's kind of tough to do while you're filming it. If you look up, you can see that I've now got separation. You can see the splines where the CV joint came off of the carrier bearing and the intermediate shaft, which means I should be able to just go to the outside and pull that bad boy right out of there. And there you have it, folks. You can see it was starting to bust out the ooze the whole way around there. Now that I have the CV shaft out, I'm just going to go back underneath the car and I'm going to wiggle this shaft right here, the intermediate shaft, and I'm just going to check the bearings to make sure that that carrier bearing is still good and tight in there. While I'm this far, it would be foolish not to check that, just to make sure. They normally don't go bad. It's normally the CV joints, but you just want to be sure so that you're not doing this twice and taking stuff apart more than you need to. You can see the shaft here, but there's a spot just in between the transfer case and the transmission where you can reach up between the exhaust and actually grab that intermediate shaft and then wiggle it up and down. And I'm only getting rotation here. I'm not getting any up and down movement, so that's a good thing. And that means I don't need to replace that, and that all of my movement was actually in the CV joint itself. While I have the CV joint out, I'm actually going to take this opportunity to clean up some of the excess grease and crap that's in this shield right here. The reason that shield is there is so that if you do have a CV joint boot failure and grease starts to fly everywhere, it doesn't splatter all over the exhaust. It kind of does anyway. If you can see right up in through here, the whole back side of the oil pan and engine is just covered, and as the engine heats up, that grease kind of liquefies and drips down, and it almost looks as though I have like this major oil leak, when in fact it was just the CV grease coming out and getting all over the place.
Poor little Blue, sitting out in the rain because the pilot needs worked on. Tragic.
Here we have the new axle alongside the old one, and as you can see here, there's this little dust shield here that I'm going to want to try to get off of here without damaging it and transfer it over to here so that this will cover up the carrier bearing on the intermediate shaft. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, switch it over to here. Hopefully I can get this off without damaging it and transfer it over. The way I'm going to do that is just take a small screwdriver or a punch and just starting up here and just lightly tap and then rotate it and then tap and just tap this guy off. Now that I have the new axle ready to go in, I'm just going to slide it in over top and get it started on the splines. And once I'm able to slide it into place, there is a snap ring in there that you'll see. And when you get it to the point where it stops, you'll need to tap the outer portion where the castle nut goes with a zero impact hammer, or a brass hammer, or something that just isn't going to damage the threads on the outer portion where the castle nut goes on. And you'll have to hit that pretty hard and hard enough to get it to go in and click into place. That's one of the reasons it was so difficult to get out, is that snap ring in there. Well, I wasn't able to give it enough oomph with this little 1 pound hammer, so once again, when in doubt, get a bigger hammer. So I took a block of wood to protect this portion here, and then just hit the wood into it with a couple of really good thwacks. It slid right in. I'm gonna go underneath and just double check and make sure it went the whole way in, and then we can start reinstalling it back into the hub assembly. One of the things I like to do when I'm doing this, just to make my life a little bit easier, is to take a circular wire brush to the splines on the inside, both front and back. This one's obviously made for battery terminals, but I just get it from the front, and then I reach around and I get it from the back, and I just get the rust and stuff out of there. And then I spray a little bit of penetrating oil onto the inner portion of the splines, just to ease reinstallation of the axle back into the hub assembly. Now that I've got everything cleaned up, I'm going to pull these 2 pins out so I can separate the strut from the hub assembly, and then rotate the hub assembly away from the axle and insert the end into the hub assembly here in the bearing, and that'll just make things a little easier once I pull these pins out. Now that I've got this started, I'm going to use the key and put it in the ignition and unlock the steering so that I can manipulate this back and forth in order to get the strut assembly back onto the wheel hub assembly. Now that the steering wheel is unlocked, I can pull this outer tie rod end, and I can pull this out in order to get the hub assembly a little bit closer to the axle so that I can line up the splines. And as you can see, it slid right in. Now for the really fun part. We need to be able to push down on this whole assembly on this portion so that we can push down here and then move our strut back over and line it up to the center of this. And that can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes you need to take a pry bar and get on the underside of this and pry down, and it can be a little bit tricky. So that's what we're going to do next. Now that we have the strut assembly back over top of the hub assembly, we want to be able to push and line these holes up. You might need to twist the strut in order to get it to line up perfect with these, and you just want to make sure that your splines are still in place on the bottom side. You want to put your knees on the front of the rotor and the caliper, and then push in and just line it up so that you can get a punch through there, and that'll help you line things up. And then you can push back on the assembly, get a secondary punch in the top side, and then you can wiggle it in order to get the bolts back in through the back side. This process is actually a lot easier if you straighten out the wheel. It'll allow you to push in from the front side and give yourself a little bit more leverage. Here's a view from the other side. Once I got this top pin in, I was able to pull the bottom one out, and that'll give me the opportunity to wiggle this back and forth and move things up and down in order to get the bottom bolt started in, and then I'll be able to do the same thing for the top bolt. To get this to line up, I'm going to use the punch again, and I'm going to go in through the back side, and I'm just going to pry up and back until the holes line up, and then that'll give me the opportunity to start my bolt back in. Just like that. For the top one, I'm going to put my knees against the top side of the rotor and grab the coil spring up top on the strut, and then I'm going to be able to, that'll allow me to push in and remove this pin, and then take my other punch and come to the back side and essentially do the same thing to get this guy to line up. Once you get these guys tightened up and your line back into your strut assembly and get that tightened down, you're going to want to put the castle nut back on. Now, one of the things you might run into is these guys are different sizes. This one's a 36, that's the one that came on, and this one is a 33. Now, I have every socket known to man except for a 33 or a 1 5/16 socket, so I'm going to reuse the original castle nut with the 36 millimeter. It's a little beefier and it's same thread pitch and whatever, so I don't think there's going to make that much of a difference, and I don't feel like running out to the parts store just to buy a single socket just for sake of using a new a new castle nut. Okay, I've got everything on the upper side tightened up, and I've run the castle nut in with the impact gun, and so what I'm going to do now is just take the punch, put it back into the rotor, torque this guy down, and then I'll use the punch to knock the inside, or the outer portion of the castle nut rather, into this little groove to make sure that it doesn't back out. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content, and we'll see you in the next one.